Oye, mi gente, welcome to the Max Breakdown, where we will be diving into sports, news, sports cards, and cultura Dominican style with a twist. Man, listen, Thursday was a great day. Thursday, was the New York Knicks parade in Lower Manhattan. Great day for the New York Knicks fans. Tremendous. 53 years, man. 53 years. And the truth of the matter is that Jalen Brunson finally said what New York has been waiting 53 years to scream. After ignoring all critics all season, after carrying the Knicks to their first title since 1973, Brunson stood in front of more than a million fans at City Hall and delivered the line of the parade. When you prove them wrong, you really don't have to say shit to them. They don't deserve it. And then he just walked away. Listen, it's so true. It's so true. There's a fine line, people. And I'm not gonna get too in depth with it. But you have all these people making firm predictions and coming across and acting like what they say is exactly what's going to happen, not leaving any room for, the possibility of them being wrong. And I think that that's an area where reporters cross the line and make a huge mistake. I'm sure you've seen all the clips of all these reporters saying that Jalen Brunson wasn't going to amount to nothing and that couldn't be the big catch that the Knicks got in the offseason, that he wasn't even top 14. And to me, all these reporters should be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed. And because, first of all, besides Stephen A. Smith, none of the other ones have apologized or even spoken about how they're going to make sure that what they say is not, how can I say this? Like, leave room for whatever they say to be incorrect. So anyway, that moment, that was the moment that the finals MVP finally addressed the doubters, not with pettiness, but with championship silence, holding that trophy, being on that stage on City Hall. And yes, Becky Hammond's old comments, of course, they resurfaced. She once said the Knicks couldn't win with a small guard as their best player. I'm telling you, it's stupid comments like that. Like it's like a criminal committing a crime, right? Like, how could you be that dumb? Brunson didn't clap back directly, but Mikal Bridges admitted on IG Live that those comments fueled him all year. And now, Brunson walks down Broadway holding the Larry O'Brien trophy like a crown jewel, smiling like a man who rewrote his entire narrative. Man, was there energy in that parade today. Wow. Tremendous amount of energy in that parade. Lower Manhattan was a complete madhouse, blue and orange confetti, fans climbing traffic lights, people packed shoulder to shoulder from Bowling Green to City Hall. Crazy. Over 1 million people. You better not have been driving. Spike Lee rode with Brunson, living his best life. OG Anunoby was outside the float, tequila in one hand and the NBA Cup trophy on the other. Karl Anthony Towns was on top of a bus with a cigar, holding the East trophy like a Dominican king. Could you imagine what that moment must have been for that kid that grew up on the other side of the bridge in New Jersey, watching the worst of the worst Knicks to then get drafted by a horrible team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and being all the way in Minnesota to then get traded to the Knicks and win a chip. Crazy. I'm sure he smoked that cigar real good. Carmelo Anthony had his own victory cigar saying, "The whole city won." Those are facts. The whole city of New York won. Every Knicks fan feels it, feels that win. I don't know how it is to be a fan of another basketball team in another city, but to be a Knicks fan and deal with so many years where it was just horrendous, this one is special. Alicia Keys got on stage and performed a mashup of Empire State of Mind and New York, New York. That was awesome because you see clips of that song and you remember of Alicia Keys in the 2009 World Series. You know, her and Jay-Z at Yankee Stadium. But that wasn't going to be the last time that she sings that iconic song. She sang that song today at City Hall for the New York Knicks and the New York Knicks fans, watching that confetti of blue and orange shower the crowd. Historic, memorable moment. Walt Clyde Frazier led the parade in a convertible, wearing his championship rings. Walt Clyde Frazier deserves a 2026 ring. He deserves a 2026 ring. Brunson didn't just win a title. He didn't just win the finals MVP. He didn't just silence the critics. He became the face of New York sports. He became the guy who delivered the parade the city never got in the 70s. He became the guy who made 1 million people pat the Canyon of Heroes. He became the guy who proved the heart, toughness, and belief beats every narrative. And you know what? It was all worth it. Bars overflowing, fans skipping work, kids skipping school, people climbing trucks, scaffolds, and the Brooklyn Bridge just to hear the speakers. New York didn't just celebrate a championship. New York celebrated a identity, my people. This was a parade 53 years in the making, and the city went all out. All out. I guarantee you that the Knicks front office is cooking something up. Let me repeat that. The Knicks front office, especially after the owner, James Dolan, said no to the second apron, something is going to cook in New York. Something. What I do hope at the end is that we keep two people two people, Jose Alvarado and Landry Shamet. Everybody loves Mitch. A lot of people call him Mitchie. We love Mitchie. Longest tenured player with the Knicks. I believe it was 2017, his first season. But unfortunately, in this era of basketball, in this style of play, I'm not sure that re-signing Mitchie is the right move. Not if you're trying to repeat. We love him, but I don't think signing Mitchie should be the answer. I'm sorry. And that's just my take. And now we're going to transition. All right. So believe it or not, there's other basketball news. And we will be discussing this gentleman who he declined his $48.97 million player option. And he's going to be hitting the open market on Monday. Washington is still the front runner. That's what the reporters are saying, but multiple teams are circling. And you already know when a full-time all-star hits the free agency at age 27, the Sharks start swimming. Let's break down the situation. Trae came into last season with a mission. Prove he deserves a 4-year, $229 million max extension. Prove he was still the guy in Atlanta could build around. But the basketball gods had other plans. 5th game into the season, he sprains his MCL. He was out until mid-December. And while he was gone, the Hawks saw enough from Jalen Johnson and the young core to say, you know what? We're going to move on from that huge contract and try to get some picks. So in early January, they shipped Trae to Washington for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. Trae only played 5 games for the Wizards. He averaged 17.9 points and 8 assists across 15 games between Atlanta and Washington. Not exactly a showcase year. Not a year that you're really trying to show your team that they should give you a max extension. Then you ask yourself, but why would the Wizards still want him? Well, Washington didn't trade for Young by accident. They wanted a quarterback for their young core, a real playmaker who can organize the offense and elevate every kid who is still learning the league. They doubled down by trading for Anthony Davis last season. So basically, Washington is trying to transform the team and is trying to become something positive. So they went after a point guard that has pedigree. He's a 4-time All-Star. And they figured, he's going to be able to pass the ball well and make these guys better. So I get it. And then, they traded for Anthony Davis. So they're trying. So, the vision was clear. Trae Young, Anthony Davis, all-star duo, surrounded by a young, long, athletic group. Alex R., Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson, Will Riley, Bob Carrington, and the number 1 pick in next week's draft. Washington believes Trae and AD can stabilize a franchise and drag them out of a 60 losing game season, right? And get them out of that basement that they've been stuck for the last 3 years. So that was Washington's mission. But Trae has other plans. He's like, listen, y'all want me, y'all gonna have to give me a 4-year max extension. So he declined the option. And what does this mean? He wants a long-term security. He wants a bigger deal. He wants leverage, and he wants to see what the market says he's worth. Washington is still the favorite, but they're not the only ones calling. Teams that need a point guard, teams that need a star, teams that need a playmaker, and who can average 10 assists in his sleep. They're all watching. The real question is, Trae Young still a franchise changing star? Well, he's young enough. Or is he now a high-end offensive specialist who needs a perfect situation? Washington is betting on the former. The rest of the league is trying to figure out the answers. Either way, Trae just made free agency a whole lot more interesting because there might be some desperate people. There might be some people that are like, you know what? We're going to give this guy the bag. So we'll see what happens. It might get really interesting. And, now we're going to transition again. And we will be talking about a real funny guy. This is one of these type of guys that is very loyal to the fan base. He is different than a guy like Trae Young because Trae Young just wants the bag. Cameron Jordan is a guy that could pick any team he wants to go to, and they'll probably say, yes to. Let's zoom out from New Orleans and look at the rest of the league because free agent has just been straight up chaotic this offseason. It's been crazy, and Cameron Jordan basically said, I know that there's more money to be had, but I want to stay in New Orleans. And I guess, at this age, he's close to 40. I guess he's like, you know what? I don't want to move around. This is my home. I am going to, stay. I'm going to stay here with New Orleans. So, Cameron Jordan, more kudos to you for staying with a team that, who knows what's going to happen with them, if they're going to win or going to lose. Basically, their wide receiver group are always injured. They did get a new running back this season, and Travis Etienne with Alvin Kamara. We'll see how that works. But they don't really have much else. So it's going to be very interesting to see what really happens with New Orleans. Either way, Cameron Jordan, I salute you, and you have all the respect in the world from me because it ain't easy to continue to lose. And yeah, so for those that haven't been following football because it's the off season, it's been pretty crazy. It's been pretty crazy, and front offices have been doing some crazy stuff. Aaron Rodgers is actually going back to the Steelers on a 1-year deal, $25 million. And listen, the nostalgia is cute, but the production ain't. The man hasn't been above average in QBR since 2021. Last season, the lowest air yards per attempt in the league, lowest throw past the sticks. Still conservative, still safe, still limited. The Steelers basically said, we'll take the floor and forget about the ceiling. Could they have gone Malik Willis? Could they have traded for a young guy? Sure. but they have chose the old head with a low volatility. It's a safe bet, but not sexy. So, you know, that's the route they went. Then there was a big trade with Dexter Lawrence from the Giants straight to the Bengals. This one shocked the league. Cincinnati gave up the 10th overall pick straight up for Dexter Carter. At his peak, he's a monster. He's a top 3 pass rusher win rate among all DTs, elite nose tackle, double teams everywhere. But the last 2 seasons, there's been a decline, injuries, drops in pressure rate, and only 0.5 sacks last season. The Bengals aren't just betting on the old version of Lawrence returning. The Giants, though, they got a premium pick and cleared $20 million off the books. So for the Giants, this was like, hell yeah, we'll do it. New York fleeced everybody. So we're going to give that a grade A. Now, the Jaguars and the Falcons did some DT swaps, a pure challenge trade. Ruke Orohoro for Mason Smith. Both 2024 second rounders, both inconsistent, both flashes, both have shown flashes, but both have flaws. Jags get the slightly better run defender. Falcons get the slightly better athlete. This is 2 teams saying, I'll bet on me. Maybe you could fix the guy I gave you, and I'll fix the guy that you gave me, basically. So as we know, the Eagles have traded A.J. Brown to New England. So what did the Eagles do? They said, you know what? I'm going to call Green Bay, and I'm going to say, hey, is the Davion Wicks available? And Green Bay said, hell yeah, I have way too many receivers. So they turned a 5th round pick into a 5th and 6th. Smart business. Phillies get a cheap, explosive depth receiver who can step in for A.J. Brown, and drama pops off again. So drama pops goes to New England. We'll see what drama he starts over there. Not a star move, but a smart move and a cheap move. And the Raiders, what did the Raiders do? They go and they sign Kirk Cousins, who was in Atlanta, and that was just a crazy situation. But he is one of the best backups QB signing in years. Cousins only cost Vegas $11.3 million because Atlanta is still paying him. He fits the Shanahan style offense. He's a perfect mentor for Fernando Mendoza. If Mendoza goes down, Cousins can keep the ship steady. I don't know if he's going to keep a ship steady, but he'll be able to do something, because the truth is that up in Raider Town, they have no wide receivers. They arguably have the worst wide receiver group in the whole NFL. So it might be a Brock Bowers show and Ashton Genty, because those are the only 2 offensive players they really have. So it's gonna get very interesting up in Vegas. The Broncos traded for Jalen Waddle. This was a stunner. Denver is in win now mode. Bo Nix is solid, not elite, but he is solid. They needed a weapon. Waddle is still a top 10 separator in the league. Nobody really cares about, what's his name, Cortland Sutton. I mean, the guy is whack. Nobody could convince me that he's a good player. I don't think he's a good player. He's not a good player. So Waddle, still explosive, still underpaid, relative to his talent. The price was a first, a third, and a fourth. A lot, but Denver is still swinging. And they're basically saying, F them picks. Miami wasn't going to use them, right? Miami, they're rebuilding. They needed picks. This hurts, but it's smart. So, and up in Chiefs country, remember that Patrick Mahomes hurt himself really bad, tearing everything in both legs. So they signed Justin Fields to become Mahomes' backup. The Jets, after they had given him a lot of money, basically said, you know what, we're going to pivot. We're just going to get rid of you. So Fields' 2025 tape was rough. Bottom tier QBR, low air yards, high sack rate, and benched multiple times. For Kansas City, it was just cheap insurance, low risk. Just get a pick instead of cutting him. That was, good business. Good business. Whatever, right? The Vikings signed Kyler Murray. To me, this was one of the best pickups that there might have been that there was in the whole offseason. Minnesota gets Kyler for $1.3 million because Arizona is paying the rest of his $36.8 million guaranteed. Insane. If he's healthy, he's instantly the best quarterback on the roster because we all know that J.J. McCarthy might be a bust. Kevin O'Connell is the perfect coach to revive him. This could be the playoff challenging move that they needed. It might be. So we will see what happens up in Minnesota. I think it's going to be really interesting. And turning again, we experienced something early in the week that was just phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. And this guy continues to amaze. This guy threw a pitch at 105 miles an hour. Like this guy is defining the speed of sound. Just to give you an idea of what 105 miles per hour looks like in baseball terms is you see the pitcher winding up and come across like he's releasing the ball. And next thing you know, the ball is in the catcher's mitt. And you stay baffled saying, how am I going to hit that? That's basically what it is. You ever watch a performance so insane, so violent, so dominant that it doesn't feel real? Well, like you're watching a video game on a rookie difficulty? That was Jacob Misiorowski on last Friday night. The Brewers' 24-year-old flamethrower, igniter, because that's what he is, didn't just pitch a gem. He didn't just pitch the game of the year. He might have pitched the game of the decade because he basically threw what is now called a Maddox, a one-hit Maddox, 15 strikeouts, 95 pitches, and faced the minimum 27 batters. Like, how is this even possible? This wasn't pitching. This was supernova. That's what this was. Misiorowski, it's one of those where you're coming to expect him to strike out 23 a night. He had, by the fourth inning, he already had 9 Ks. He tied the Maddox strikeout record. Miz, as he's called in Minnesota, in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Miz did it. One hit Maddox with 15 Ks. When baseball fans start texting you like it's a natural disaster alert, you know something historic happened. Let's put this in perspective. Only 17. He was only the 17th 9-inning game ever to hit that number. Only 4 pitchers to face the minimum with a 100-plus score. Only 3 times this has happened. Sandy Koufax, Matt Cain, Randy Johnson. That's Mount Rushmore type of stuff. 15 Ks, 1 base runner or fewer. Only 3 pitchers since the 1900s has ever done it. Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw, and now Jacob Misiorowski. That's it. That's the list. A Maddox, which means less than he threw a perfect complete game with less than 100 pitches. And he had 15 strikeouts. That's what makes it even more unbelievable. Because let's say you throw a complete game, but you throw the ball, they hit the ball, and it's an out. No, to strike them out, you have to throw at least 3 strikes, right? So what this guy did was extremely impressive. Only 2 pitchers had ever thrown a Maddox with 13 Ks. Misiorowski said cute and added 2 more. He said, that's 13? That's okay. But watch me add 2 more. The velocity that this guy was throwing, this is where it gets stupid. In the first inning, he threw 104.5 miles an hour. So basically, he's defying all logic. Everybody knows that in the first couple of innings, you're warming up. Your body is getting acclimated and you're throwing, and you're not even trying to throw as hard as you can. Could you imagine as a batter, you're going to face right off the bat a guy throwing 104.5 miles an hour? So this is almost like he defeated the team in the first 3 innings of that game. Final pitch of the game was 103.1. So his 95th pitch was 103.1. He had 58 pitches over 100 miles an hour. This is unbelievable. You better go out there and grab all the Jacob Misiorowski's autograph baseball cards. You better go out there and get those cards, because what this guy is doing, you can't even do on MLB The Show. The Phillies swung at 34 of them and whiffed on 21 of them. Nobody in baseball history has thrown 103 miles an hour in a 9-inning complete game. Nobody. When you rewatch the game, it's almost unfair. It really came across as you're watching the Little League World Series, right? Kids that are 12, 13 years old, and a major leaguer throwing at them. That's what it looked like. He threw 69 out of 95 pitches fastballs. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, he just pounded the zone with 100 plus like it's nothing. This guy needs to be checked. He has to be an alien. He has to be. Up and in. Top of the zone. Bottom of the zone. Paint corners at 101. Like if he's sketching. Trey Turner, no chance. Kyle Schwarber looked like he never seen a baseball before. And when hitters started cheating to the fastball, he went like this. He sprinkled 11 sliders, 7 cutters, 4 curveballs, and 4 changeups. My people, that is not a arsenal. You know what that is? That's a crime scene. Joe Sheehan said it best. There was a ruthlessness that called to the mind of Pedro Martinez at his peak. And honestly, Misiorowski is Nolan Ryan with better control. That's the scary part. He didn't reach a single 3-ball count. Only 5 2-ball counts. This is not normal. This is not human. Listen, I'm going to say it like this. This has to be considered one of the best pitching performance ever in history. You have to put it up there with the Don Larson perfect game. You know what? You got to put it up there with all the perfect games. Only got one hit. Only one hit. And he only had 3. Was it 3? 3-ball counts? That has to be up there with the perfect games. I'm sorry. His last 8 starts, his ERA is a ridiculous 0.17. Lowest 8-star ERA since 1913. In 54.1 innings, he's had 80 strikeouts and 9 walks. Opponents are hitting 105. This man is pitching like he's bored. I mean, this is not real. Look at the elite company this guy is in. Verlander, Garrett Cole, John Means, Lucas Giolito, and Jacob deGrom. Misiorowski efficiency of 95 pitches puts him above all of those guys who had to throw 100 pitches. Misiorowski just threw 95. And unlike Verlander's no-no against a bad Jays team, Misiorowski did it against a good Phillies team. A team that you could argue is a playoff contender, even though right now they're struggling. But they still have a winning record. I believe at this point they're like 9 games above 500. That might be the best 9-inning performance since Kerry Wood in 1998. I know Kerry Wood, I believe he struck out 21, but this of throwing 105 miles an hour, to me, is even more impressive. And here's the craziest part. I don't think that we've seen his best game yet. And you know what? I don't think we have. I don't think we have, because we all know the Phillies could hit. And if he did that to the Phillies, imagine to a weak hitting team, right? I am going to have some MLB predictions. We're halfway through the 2026 season, and the standing are starting to separate, and real contenders from the frauds and the sleepers and the don't let us get hot teams are creeping out. They're coming up. And let's break down division by division who is in, who's chasing, and who is cooking. Well, in the AL East, the Yankees, it's the Yankees division to lose. Yankees are 45-27 with a plus 127 run differential. This is the best in the American League. Elite run differential, elite pitching, elite lineup. They're not just making the playoffs, they're chasing the 1 seed for sure. In the hunt, you could say the Rays. They're great at home, shaky on the road. Wild card team. The Blue Jays, though, the team that went to the World Series last year, they're mid, but they're dangerous. And a fringe, a wild card. Orioles, unfortunately, just too inconsistent. The Red Sox, they're cooked. Prediction, Yankees will win the East. Rays will grab a wild card. And Blue Jays stay alive until September. In the AL Central, the Guardians are 40-35. Nobody here is good, but Cleveland is the least bad out of all of them. In the hunt, you have the White Sox. Better than expected, but negative run differential is a red flag. The Twins, they're pretenders, like every year. The Tigers, they might as well just rebuild. And the Royals, same old Royals. Guardians win the division by default. White Sox hang around a bit, but are going to fade late. In the West, this is the chaos division. The Mariners are the front runners, not dominant, but balanced. 23 plus run differential. Solid pitching, enough offense. They're right there. In the hunt, you have the A's. They're overachieving. Rangers, they've been having a World Series hangover, still lingering. The Astros, that dynasty team of a few years ago, that's officially over. And the Angels, Shohei is gone, and so is the hope. Prediction, Mariners win the West, Rangers sneak into the wild card race late, and Astros miss the playoffs again. In the National League East, the Braves still run this. The Braves are a lock. They're plus 100 run differential. They're a machine. Even with injuries, they're still the class of the East. They have so many injuries, it's not even funny. And they're still in first place. You still got the Phillies. They're a good team. Bad run differential, wild card contender. They need pitching very bad. If they don't get the pitching from another team and they stick with theirs and theirs doesn't, pitch at least average, they might not even make the playoffs. The Nationals, their surprise of the year, legit wild card threat, believe it or not. The Marlins, they're right there. They're mid. Still, the verdict is still out. And the Mets are cooked again. Prediction, the Braves win the East. The Phillies and the Nationals will be fighting for a wild card spot. In the NL Central, the Brewers are him. And we were just talking about the Brewers and their alien pitcher, Jacob Misiorowski, who is a cheat code. This guy is going to put that team on his back and be like, just follow me. I'll just throw 105 miles an hour and blow everybody away. And if I have to throw some no-hitters, I'll throw some no-hitters. Just score a run. Score a run. In the hunt, listen, the Cardinals are solid, not special. They're solid. The Cubs, good enough to annoy people. That's what they are. The Pirates, fun but flawed. They can't hit. They can't hit. That's just the bottom line. And the Reds, not this year. Prediction is the Brewers win the Central, Cardinals grab a wild card spot, Pirates and Cubs fight for the last spot. That's going to be interesting. In the NL West, you have the Dodgers, who are a super team. I'm sorry. This reminds me of those great basketball teams that players from other teams just get together and just create a super team. That's what they are. They have a plus differential of 144. They might be the best team in baseball, period. In the hunt, you have the Padres, good enough to make noise. The Diamondback, they're scrappy. They do have a winning record. The Giants, not enough pitching. I'm sorry, you're going home. And the Rockies, they're basically non-existent. So the prediction there is clear. Dodgers win the West easily. Padres and Diamondbacks will be in the wild card mix. That's basically my prediction this season. When it comes to baseball, we will see what happens. And I still definitely say that Jacob Misiorowski might throw a no-hitter by the end of the year. The guy is just on a different planet. And now we are going to transition for one last segment. And this one last segment is we're going to be talking about cultura. And basically is a tough day today. The Dominican Republic, and honestly, the entire Latino world lost Alex Bueno, El Mayimbito. That's what they used to call him, El Mayimbito, El Ruiseñor de la Sierra, and one of the most gifted voices to ever come out of the Caribbean. This isn't just a singer. This is a man whose voice raised families, healed heartbreaks, filled colmados, lit up fiestas, and crossed generations like very few have. Let's talk about the life, the legacy, and the legend of Alex Bueno. Born Alejandro Wilberto Bueno Lopez in San Jose de las Matas, Alex grew up in a house where music wasn't a hobby. It was basically oxygen. His mother sang, his father played the guitar and the violin. His grandmother, this is insane. His grandmother played the guitar. His brother Felipe sang also. So music was something Alex learned, and it was something he inherited. By the age of 13, he already was singing everywhere, in school, in churches, in family gatherings. By the age of 16, he already was fighting demons that would follow him for decades. But even then, the voice was undeniable. Alex moved to Santo Domingo, which is basically the capital, to chase the dream that he didn't just catch with his voice, but he basically told everybody, "You're gonna make me the singer of your group." He basically captivated everybody he sang to. His first group he joined was in 1978 called Geraldo Vera's All Stars. In 1982, he formed Orquesta Liberación with Andrés de Jesus. 4 albums that dominated the DR and the diaspora. Songs like Querida, Esa Pared, La Radio, Negrita Ingrata. This wasn't just merengue. This was the new voice, the new clarity, a new elegance. Alex Bueno became a star. The solo era the golden voice of the 90s. In 1984, he went solo. That's when he became a legend. You know, a lot of singers are in a group, they sing within the group, and when they try to go out on their own, they come to find out that it doesn't work. But Alex, he basically shot up. He had multiple songs, Querida, Esa Pared, Como Nadie. These weren't just songs. These were cultural artifacts. That's how big those songs were. Every Dominican household had an Alex Bueno CD, cassette, or vinyl. Your mom played him. Your tia played him. Your abuela played him too. You grew up knowing that voice. Very sad. Everything changed. Alex dropped bachata a su tiempo. He went from merengue to suddenly bachata. Still fighting for mainstream respect, he gets a new level of polished romance and vocal finesse. He just wasn't singing bachata. He was elevating it to another level. I remember that. I remember that he was a merengue singer, but then there were all these other great merengue musicians, and it was almost like he was overshadowed, not because he lacked talent, but he was just overshadowed. So he pivoted and he went to bachata, and he came up with two songs that were just historic. Busca una confidente and Que Vuelva. Everybody and their mama. If you're Spanish, you know Que Vuelva. These songs helped pave the road for the genre global explosion. The same road Romeo Santo, Prince Royce, and other would later dominate. Alex Bueno dominated it first. Alex Bueno walked so bachata could fly. How crazy is that? He walked bachata so that it could fly. Alex worked with everyone. Juan Luis Guerra, Anthony Santo, Romeo Santo, Fernando Villalona, Sergio Vargas. If you were great, you worked with Alex. If you were legendary, you respected Alex. Alex had battles with alcohol and drugs, and it was public and it was painful. But in 2014, he found sobriety. He found God. He found peace. And when he came back, the voice was still there. His second act was alive. In 2025, though, Alex was diagnosed with a brain tumor. He fought for months. He kept his faith. He kept his dignity. But unfortunately, my respect to Alex, in June 18, 2026, in New York City, the same day as the New York Knicks parade, a legend fell. But legends don't die. They echo. And Alex Bueno's voice will echo forever. Alex Bueno wasn't just a singer. He was a soundtrack. He was a memory. He was a feeling. He was a piece of Dominican identity. From merengue to bachata, from bolero to salsa, from heartbreak to celebration, Alex Bueno gave us everything. And now it's up to us to keep his music alive. Descansa en paz, Ruiseñor de la Sierra. Tu voz nunca se apaga. Mi gente, that is the Max breakdown for today. Walk with faith, walk with purpose and don't let anyone shape your spirit. This is Max, and te lo dice claro, on the next